Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's City Council meeting for July 27th. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Pat, can you take a roll call vote? Thanks.
Pat, you're on mute.
I like to do that every time just to keep you guys on your toes. It looks like Steve's gone. Mayor Plaisance?
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington?
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning? Aye. Councilmember Urkel?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Item on to 4.0 presentations and public hearings. Law enforcement contract presentation.
Thank you, Randy. At this time, Chief Deputy Kevin Hallwig is present tonight to review the law enforcement contract estimate. At the conclusion of his presentation and answers or questions from council, Commander Michelle Orlando will present the County Sheriff's Office monthly report to the council. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Davis, and Honorable Mayor and Council. Kevin Hellwig, Chief Deputy of the Sheriff's Office, here on behalf of Sheriff Stewart. He's taking a much-needed vacation. His second Marine wrapped up her tour of her 4-year tour here last week at Camp Pendleton. So he went out to help bring her back. So he sends his regrets. He certainly likes when he can spend some time talking with the council and talking about the services we provide. So I'm not as polished a public speaker, but I'll give it my best here. And just thanks for giving us the time here. In regards to the 2021 contract, just a little back history here. East Bethel's been contracting with the Sheriff's Office for patrol coverage since 1973, which is actually the city, I think, became incorporated in 1974. But even going back to when the county started back in 1857, the Sheriff's Office has been the law enforcement response going back 163 years now. And, it's a partnership and that we certainly don't take for granted. We pride ourselves on giving our contracts the best bang for the buck. We feel like we provide that with economy of scale. This is a 36-hour contract like you've had for several years now, but it provides more than just that deputy and a half, basically 36 hours each day. If you get a large event, we've got the resources to get to your city and take care of that event right now. We don't have you've got cost certainty with the contract. Some of the smaller cities that are having struggles with police departments don't have that cost certainty each year. They, if those cities get a large event or get officers out injured or get squad cars smacked up, that affects their annual budget. Whereas, as you know from years past, what we present with the contract is what you're going to pay. You're not going to go, we're not going to come back mid-year and say we cracked up two of the squads, or we've got deputies out hurt, and it's costing us overtime. That's not going to come back on the city. We if we crack up a squad hitting a deer tonight in the city, you're not going to see an interruption in service. The squad, we're going to have another squad up.
Hold on for a moment.
Yep.
Deputy Howig, people, if you are not speaking, can you please put yourself on mute, because there's a lot of noise that is kind of interrupting and it's hard to hear. Thanks.
All right. It sounds more quiet now, but so you won't see interruption of service. things happen. Deputies blow out knees, squads get cracked up, and we've always got, another person or another squad to push into place and not give you any type of interruption of service. You won't notice it at all. Currently, the contract with the sheriff's office calls for 36 hours of patrol coverage a day. For 2021, we're not recommending any changes to that. Currently, you're sitting at a 46.5% proactive time, and how we calculate that is based on your calls for service and how long the average call takes. So a little over 50% of the deputies' time right now is spent on calls, and just under 50% they're able to be proactive. And we set our minimum of 40% proactive time to make sure that all the contracts are pulling their weight. If we don't have a bottom line that we don't let people drop below, then a contract that's well staffed, like yourself, could be supplementing a contract that says, well, we don't want 40%. So we keep everybody at that 40 so that, your deputies are staying in your city, short of big events and vice versa. The 36-hour contract requires I think you've got this form in front of you, about 7.6 deputies to cover that on an annual basis. And as you look down the cost sheet here, and I can get into as much detail as you want, or I can fly over relatively quickly, but you've got the benefits figured in. This contract also continues with the 20 hours of week of the CSO coverage that's been in place for many years. As you look down the cost sheet, personnel costs are at $939,000, $544. And then we have 1.5 vehicles. Basically, the 24-hour car in East Bethel gets replaced on an annual basis, and the 12-hour car gets replaced every other year. So that's how we come up with the 1.5 new vehicles each year for the 36-hour coverage. We also have $7,200 figured in there for a CSO vehicle, and basically they're driving typically a car that's been retired from the deputies. The CSOs don't drive emergencies, so we feel comfortable putting them in an older car that they just need to get to their calls, not necessarily driving emergency there. We do have some maintenance costs, and we get asked about that. But now with body cameras, there's an annual maintenance cost with the squad cameras, tasers, radios. All that comes up on a replacement schedule and gets replaced on a regular schedule, and that's all figured into the maintenance costs. Administrative costs covers your supervisory and PSDS and different maintenance costs there, the PSDS and through the JLEC. And I know you've had members that sat on the JLEC in the past, but that's broken down countywide and based on calls for service as well. In the end, this contract comes up to basically $1,204,480. The state returns in police state aid returns $50,160 as part of the East Bethel portion. We return that to the city. That basically the state will kick back they kick back a certain amount of dollars for every full-time licensed peace officer working in a jurisdiction, to kind of help offset training time and any other costs that come with it, with having an officer. So we return that to the city, and that's again $50,160, which will bring the net cost to the city at $1,154,320. That is just a 1.08% increase from last year. We were some of the benefits and things went down this year, and we were able to look at some of our vehicle maintenance costs over the last few years and saw that both with the Ford and now with the Dodges, our maintenance costs seem to be going down. So we've been able to cut back on some of that, and really tried to hold as close to as low as we could this year, understanding that in this new COVID world that we live in, that you know, tough. All jurisdictions are seeing tough times. So we think we have a very responsible number we put together here, and again, it's a number that the coverage has been in place within the city for Commander Orlando might know for sure, but at least 5-6 years, if not more, now that we've been at 36 hours. And like I said, we think that's a good place to remain for 2021. And we don't see a trend in calls for service going up a whole lot. So and with the rate you're at, that 46.5% proactive time that you're at right now, I think we're going to be in a good place with this level of coverage, at least for a couple years to come. And with that, I'll take a breath, and if anybody has questions or any discussion points, I'll take a breath.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Deputy Hollweg? Doesn't sound like we have any. Jack, this looks to me like this came in very close to our estimate for the budget.
Yes, it did.
And just to close here, you know, with a contract obviously comes, you know, we are part of your community, and as Commander Orlando, you know, you have got a good relationship there with Commander Orlando, but you know, we want you to call on us if you need anything at all. If there's things you're not happy with, you know, we're kind of in the crosshairs of a lot of things right now, and you know, we certainly appreciate. We've had a lot of support from the communities that we're working in up here, and you know, what happened in Minneapolis was a tragedy. We went down there to help restore order, and that it never should have happened like that. We certainly have a lot of citizens that understand that the actions of one officer don't speak for all of us, but you know, we are doing our best to hire good people, people that are going to treat people with respect and dignity, and you know, represent, you know, our badge and our patch, and we don't ever want to go through anything like that. And if we have bad apples, we try to get rid of them. We battle the unions once in a while when things come up, but as long as as the sheriff likes to say, as long as humans are doing this job, there's going to be things that happen, and we try on the front end. You know, we get occasionally questioned about how, you know, why our backgrounds take so long, but we dig into people, and if there's question marks in their background, we just don't take the chance. And you know, we want the best to represent us, to be able to give, you know, the city and all of our contracts, you know, no reasons to worry about us. Like I said, can something happen? Absolutely, but we really strive to get good people here that want to do this job for the right reasons. And I'll put our crew up against anybody. We don't, you know, we've gotten, you know, data requests about, you know, our use of force complaints, and I can't remember the last time we had a use of force complaint against a deputy using too much force. And you know, we're as transparent as we can be with people. We've got the body cameras, squad cameras, and you know, if people want to see what deputies are doing, it's there for them, and we just we really appreciate the partnership, and our, you know, we don't take these contracts for granted. They've been in place for a long time, but we want you guys as a council to always feel like you're getting the best bang for your buck, and most importantly, you're getting good people up there to serve your city.
Randy, I just have one comment.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I just have one comment. I just want to say thanks to Chief Deputy Hollweg and Commander Orlando. I mean, there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of unrest going on, and I support you guys. Whatever you guys do, I'm behind you 100%. Thanks for everything you're doing.
I
We
did
really
it. I did
Go
it.
ahead, Sheriff.
I so appreciate the police. So And I think you're doing a great job out in these suburbs.
Well, we appreciate that, and I pass it on to the troops as much as we can. And you know, it's tough times right now, but I think the majority of people, you know, have our backs, and you know, we'll get on the other side of this one too, as a community, as a you know, a law enforcement field, and you know, hopefully come out in a better place on the other side. But we'll do our part to make you proud and happy that you are still partnering with us.
Very good. Well, thank you again, Chief Deputy Hellwig, for coming this evening and explaining the proposed budget for the police. And again, we appreciate all that the officers have done for the city, and we hope to continue that relationship.
Thank you very much. And if you need anything else from us, just don't hesitate. Reach out or get a hold of Commander Orlando, and we'll get you any other information that you need. Thank you for the time tonight.
Very good. Thank you. Shelley?
Okay, you ready for my report? Jack?
Ready to go.
All right. Custodial arrests and significant events. DWI, there were 4 DWI arrests in June. 1 arrest involved a vehicle which lost control on the road, rolled over in the ditch, landed right side up, and drove out of the ditch and continued driving down the road despite being significantly damaged. The driver was stopped a short time later and said he probably shouldn't have been driving. He failed field sobriety tests and tested at a .08. The other 3 stops were the result of driving conduct. Unemployment benefits fraud. ACSO has received multiple reports from residents advising they have received a letter or email regarding their unemployment benefits. None of the residents have filed for unemployment or been unemployed. The state of Minnesota can be contacted if you are a recipient of this type of letter or email. Do not click on any links on any email, but contact them directly by phone. 3rd-degree assault. Deputies were called to a residence on a female who had been pushed into a bonfire by her living. Deputies arrived and met with the female who had suffered burns to her arms, face, and neck. The victim reported she had been having a conversation with her boyfriend regarding their equal ownership of the residence. She stated that she was facing the fire when she was pushed from behind. The suspect admitted that they had both been drinking alcohol when she began arguing with him over the home ownership. He stated he had pushed her and she had lost her balance and fell into the fire. The female was transported to Mercy for medical treatment. The male was taken to jail. Theft by swindle. Deputy Yantos received a call from a complainant who had fallen victim to a theft by swindle. The victim reported she had received a call from someone stating they were with DirecTV, which is the company that supplies her TV service. The suspect advised they would give her a promotional billing price for 6 months if she made an immediate payment to them with eBay credit cards. The victim did supply the suspect with the credit card information for $489 worth of eBay cards. When the victim received her next bill, there was not a promotional rate, and upon contacting DirecTV, learned that she had been victim to a scam. So unfortunately, the people who are there to commit fraud and to try and get money the easy way are still out there alive and well during COVID and working at stealing money from folks. So be leery of things that they might be too good to be true. That's all I have for my report tonight.
Thank you, Shelley. Does anybody have any questions for Officer Orlando?
Shelley, I have one. Were there any reports or issues regarding enforcement of the requirement for wearing a mask that began on Saturday?
I have not heard of any issues so far, but it is, relatively soon in the mandate. But I have not heard of any issues thus far.
Thank you.
Kelly, I noticed that we are on par for the 250 more arrests this year than there was the previous year. Have you seen any reason for that, or is it just we've just had more?
What kind of arrests are you looking at? Like just overall numbers or?
Yeah, I was just looking at the year to date, and you've got 2,700 for 2020. Well, actually, we have 200 less from last year.
That's the 2,700 number. That's calls for service. So that's
Okay.
not arrests. That's just how many phone calls they get to come out for service.
Very good. Any other questions? Well, thank you, Shelley, for showing up this evening and for sending us with your report.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. 40B, Fire Department.
Good evening. So I'm going to do two reports. One will be the monthly report. I'll do that first, and then I'd like to bring the council up to date on the CARES Act. In June of 2020, Fire Department responded to 63 total calls. Of those calls, 4 dealt with some type of illegal burning or complaints of burning. There were 5 different types of alarms, 40 medicals, and 5 vehicle accidents. We did have a building fire. It wasn't really a building fire. It was an RV that was on that actually burnt down to the wheels early in the month of June. And then we had a couple mutual aid fires that we assisted other cities on. Year to date, we're about 10 calls ahead of last year. And we're running about 67% medicals and the 33% fire-related calls. So that was for June of this year. Any questions on that, Council, Mayor?
Any questions from anybody?
Yes, please. Chief, I see on the report, the 26th of June, there's 2 vehicle accidents at the.
Yeah, I'll explain that. That's actually was one accident that we got called back to twice for. We were there for the initial rescue, and then after reconstruction by the authorities, they called us, the fire department, back to clean up the scene and wash down the fluid spill.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions for Chief? If not, then Mark, why don't you move on to the next item?
The next item, and this is included in your package, is an update on the CARES Act. Now, the CARES, which is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, was enacted in March of 2020. And from that act, money flowed down to the cities across the nation. In fact, $150 billion moved to local governments. Basically, it was a formula they came up of something around $75.40 per resident in each local government, and that's how the money was handed out. Most of the states had already dispersed of the money. It was June 25th of this year that the money was actually available for the cities to request. East Bethel share of the money that is available is $906,268. That is coming to the city. Mike and Jack and myself worked on submitting the certification form. And as I say, I believe that money is going to be deposited in the city's account sometime this week. So what do we use the money for? Well, the money is directly for response and things that we've had to do and will have to do for the pandemic. There's three questions that have to be answered before an item becomes allowable reimbursement. One, the money, the item has to be a necessary expenditure that was incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19. Now, that's pretty broad and it's broad on purpose. From that, there's a number of sub protocols and procedures that are allowable. The second question that has to be answered is the costs are not accounted for in the current budget. And the U.S. Treasury set the date of March 27th as whatever budget was in effect at that date. That's the budget. So in effect, that would be our 2020 budget. Three, the performance or delivery of the goods must be covered during that period, but the payment needs to be made during that time. So we've got until November 15th, 2020 to use that money on our and claim our reimbursement. Money that's left over after November 15th that's not reimbursed is going to go back to Anoka County. We'll have to send them money transfer or send them a check. And then the county will hold that money till the end of the year. They'll be allowed to use it on their programs also. And then from there, what's ever left, they'll send that back to the state of Minnesota. So we've been busy taking a look at what is reimbursable and allowable. And I've included in your package some of the projects that we feel will be reimbursable. I'll just go through them real fast if that's okay, Mayor. And the first one is replacement of our radios. Everything we do as far as a fire department and public safety is based off of communication. If we don't have the accurate information, we're not going to be able to go ahead and respond the way we should. So the replacement of all the fire radios. Now these radios are about 15 years old. And the reason why I've included them in possible reimbursement is because we need accurate and reliable communication with our first responders. And what we have are some very old radios that in the very near future are going to need to be replaced anyway. And I mean all of them. They've been, like I say, they've been in service over 15 years. These radios are not even serviceable anymore, and they're not even making parts for them. So I did find through the guidance of the U.S. Treasury that this is a necessary expenditure that's going to be incurred because it's going to be with respect to response on our virus calls. And remember, we answer a lot of calls. Every single call that we answer, we're prepared or have to be prepared to deal with the coronavirus. The emergency response expenses, including emergency transportation related COVID-19, this also falls under. And most importantly, the last item I listed, expenses for public safety measures undertaken in response to COVID-19. Now, were they accounted for in our 2020 budget? No, they weren't at this, at this volume. However, we did have 3 radios, I believe it was, that we bought, and the cost of those would have to be subtracted from the reimbursement. This is one of those items that we need now, especially with the cases spiking. And yes, when the pandemic's all said and gone, we'll still have the asset that we can use. So the fire radios are a reimbursable amount. The other thing during turning the page, and this is on page number 4, turnout gear. Turnout gear falls under personal protection equipment, PPE. The reason why a second set of turnout gear is made, is mandatory for us, is because if we dirty or expose ourselves, whether it's a car accident or somebody's house on fire or even a medical, expose ourselves to the virus, they have to be taken, the turnout gear has to be taken out of service and disinfected. And that means that the first responder is taken out of service and not able to respond until their equipment is disinfected and ready to go. And that could take up to 3, 4, even 5 days. That's the turnout gear is definitely an item to consider as far as reimbursement. It qualifies for the program. I've also included in this draft washers and dryers for station 1 and 3, and these would be the not the commercial ones, but more residential one, where we can actually wash items that are not contaminated by fire, and if somebody needs to change their clothes, they can wash them instead of bringing that stuff home. The washer and dryers fit within the PPE requirements, and they also fit under the protocols and procedures of the U.S. Treasury. As you know, we've been working on our communications, much like the radios, but also with our mobile dispatch computers, because now we don't get all the information over the air. What we do is we get most of the information on the medicals through the dispatch computers. So we're going to go ahead and outfit the rest of the trucks. Any dispatch computers, and I think there were 3 of them that we had in 2020 budget, we'll subtract that from the total cost and reimbursement. Our EOC, Emergency Operation Center equipment, the designated Emergency Operation Center is actually the Station 1 training room, and the secondary Emergency Operation Center is City Hall. This gives us a chance because these are necessary for this pandemic, especially the possibility of what's coming up, to install equipment to make video calls, much like we're doing now, with a lot less effort, and also to effectively be able to communicate with the state EOCs and other EOCs. This also is a item that's covered under the reimbursement. We have a lot of our, well, not a lot, but we have certain employees that are working remote and probably will be working remote for some time. Some of the issues that we've had within the city of working remote is that we're not able to get the documents that we need without having somebody actually physically go to a property file or whatever the file is, take something out and email it, scan it and email it back. We're proposing that a record retention and sharing and a document management system be installed so that it'll make the operation of not only for the city employees, but also for the residents a lot safer because they won't have to come to City Hall and face possible infection, but they'll quite possibly be able to receive those documents online. This item does meet the CARES Act reimbursement policies. The other thing that we're looking at is the air filtration system at City Hall. This is a system that we can scrub some air as we recirculate it. This falls into the public health part of the CARES Act. Obviously, that hasn't been budgeted, but it does meet the CARES Act reimbursement. We're looking at installing, like I say, the filtration and adequate fresh air intakes at City Hall, which shall, as I said before, will make it safer and hopefully help us in evading the virus. I put in a medical response vehicle that is dedicated to the COVID response. That would be a vehicle much like a SUV that would be responding to the medical emergencies specifically, and we would not be contaminating our other equipments, or at least have the chance of lower the chance of contaminating the other ones. That fits within the CARES Act, and it does meet the requirement for expenses for public safety measures taken under COVID-19. We've got elections coming up, and we need to look at some safety issues. I've been working with Carrie Frost. I've been working with Jack Davis as to what we need, such as personal protective equipment. You're going to need close to, believe it or not, 12,000 ink pens because everybody's going to have their own ink pen, and things like that. To not only make it safer for the workers, but also for the voters. So as I said, that items that are budgeted for are not allowed to be reimbursed, and there is one exception to this, and that's public safety workers. So actually, the entire firefighter payroll from March 1st until November 15th would be reimbursable through that. And the reason for that is because they consider us substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. So we'll be able to take a large portion of the firefighter payroll and go ahead and take reimbursement on that. So just to let you know, so year to date, and I've included this in your package, we did Mike has been keeping, Mike our finance director, has been keeping tabs of how much money that we've spent that is reimbursable, and it includes the firefighter payroll. And so as of July 15th, $121,000 of that is reimbursable. So, and like I say, that includes the increase in payroll that we've seen over the, for the responses and so forth. If we were to fund all these items, the target number or the budget number that we have would be about $750,000. So there'd still be $150,000 left over for other projects. Any questions, Mayor? Council?
Mark, I got a couple of questions for you. On the turnout gear, does that include the coveralls?
Yes, that would include their turnout gear. So it would be bunker pants, with the pants, the turnout coat, gloves, hoods that they put on, and would include the jumpsuits that we wear so many times to the medicals.
Okay. And my second question is that air filtration system. I see a City Hall and Fire Station 1. Is Station 1 still included in that?
Yeah, we're going to do it. That's going to be a minimal cost because we'll do something with the filters there. From what we found out, it's the situation there is better than what we anticipated. The focus is going to be at City Hall, the main focus, and get that system up and running.
Okay, because we got Station 2 and 3 too. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, but Station 2 and 3, they're more like apparatus based, and
Okay.
they already have the makeup air systems that are installed with the monitoring.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First, I want to ask about the money. You said you spent about 700 and some thousand of COVID money already. Is that what you're saying? And you have about 150 left?
Okay, I haven't spent $750,000. No, we've spent to July 15th on normal things, about $121,000 citywide on COVID related things. So we've spent $121,000. Now
you're going to get that back, you think, right?
Yes. We'll definitely get that back. So if when we implement the next plan that I just went through, that'll take us to about $750,000, and that'll be reimbursable, Counselor.
I get it.
See, this is a little bit different than a grant, where a grant is you submit for funds. Well, the funds are coming on the front half. We'll have the funds in our bank account here within the next couple of days.
Okay, I understand. So I just want to confirm that you're not spending just to spend because the money's there. These are all pretty essential items that you're talking about.
They are, and they're items that are needed very soon to take us through the this last part of the virus that we think is going to be around for maybe a little bit longer than everybody thinks. So these are important items. Now, it is true that once the pandemic's done, these items will still be with us and we'll repurpose them.
Perfect. For the elections, I was thinking, wondering if you didn't list different things on here, but I was thinking, are you guys thinking about putting like some kind of plexiglass up for in front of the judges, like you see at cashiers and stuff, because you might get judges that can't wear masks, and that would be an extra protection.
Yes, we've talked about doing that. We've also gone ahead and made the purchase for face shields also, so people have an option of wearing a mask or a face shield But we have been talking about the plastic dividers and to, make that separation.
All right. And then my final question is, are there like some kind of biohazard containers where people can start putting masks and gloves and stuff in the community? Because I sure am seeing a lot of them on the ground, and I'm like, I don't want to pick that up.
That's that's a very good idea, and that might be something we might be able to work on, because I've seen them laying around too, and I'll work on that, and I'll get back to you here in the next couple of days. But that's something maybe we can get going right away. That's a really good idea.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
That's a very comprehensive bit of information you just put out. I doubt that any of us have any idea how much time you guys put into that. That's quite a piece of work. Thank you.
Thank you. Since the virus has started, the majority of our attention has been to trying to manage the pandemic, and I have no idea how many people are might be infected with it or will be infected, but these are items that we gotta move forward with so that we protect not only our employees. I want everybody to know that, but we're also protecting our residents.
That's very good to hear. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief DeSharm? Very good. Chief, so the way I understand it, we are getting this $907,000 up front, and then you are applying it to those items that apply to this CARES Act. When you sit down and decide on what would meet the criteria, what happens when, I mean, is there an audit process, or is there some way that
will be,
when they actually do this audit, where they may decide, hey, wait a minute, this item does not match the CARES Act? How is this working exactly?
So what we'll do this week, Jack, myself, and Mike will, and we've already talked about these items. We will give them a final look over, and it's all about the documentation. The reason why I set up the information I sent you the way I did is because we can go right to the item and say these are the subcategories that this item fits into, and that's why it's reimbursable. If there's any questions, our city attorney will be also consulted on possibly if to make sure that we're on the right track. But so the sign off part of it will be Jack, myself, and Mike reviewing and coming to a consensus.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any last questions for Chief DeSharm? Very good, Chief. Thank you for coming tonight and giving us your report and explaining the CARES Act to us. And hope you enjoy your evening.
Randy, one of the things we'd like to get out of this meeting is an endorsement of these projects from the council if they're ready to enact that now. We've reviewed these in quite a bit of detail we feel that they all meet it in terms of implementing this. We will make sure that all the boxes are checked and there's no or almost little questions on the eligibility of these items for reimbursement.
So you're looking for a motion then, Jack?
That's correct.
Very good. Do I hear a motion to go ahead with these projects as presented by Chief Descharme?
I'll make a motion to approve the budgeted items for COVID, I don't even know how to say it, COVID expenses.
I'll second.
COVID-19.
For
Motion has been
COVID-19
made and
expenses.
seconded by Councilman Harrington. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead with a roll call vote. Pat, can you go ahead? Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye.
Excuse me, Councilmember Harrington, Councilmember Ronald.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
That motion passes. Again, thanks again, Mark. And
Okay, thank you all. And I'll be reporting back to the council every month.
very good. Thanks again. On to consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded for the approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion? For a motion to approve, Pat, can you take a roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
That motion passes. Moving on to department reports, item 7B1.
Craig, you're on mute. You're still on mute.
Muted. Not
There you
here. How's that?
good.
Good. Volume was a little too low. The 2020 Durant Street Rehabilitation Project bids. The City Council approved the plans and specifications and authorized solicitation of bids for this project on June 8th. Bids were opened on July 7th. The base bid for this project includes reclamation and repaving Durant Street from 204th Lane to 213th Avenue. An alternate bid was also received for this project, which includes replacing a soil reinforcement mat in the areas where the road that include deep peat and muck soils. The estimated cost of this project for the base bid was $530,000 and $122,000 for the alternate bid, or a total bid price of $652,000. The bids are summarized in the write-up, and the detail is shown on the attached bid tabulation. Knife River was the lowest bidder with a bid of $740,534.15, which is approximately 12% over the project estimate. Several companies that would typically bid on this project in the city of East Bethel did not submit bids. Given the time of year, these companies couldn't commit to the October completion date with their current workload. Staff recommends that bids be rejected and the project be rebid later this fall for a 2021 completion date. Rebidding the project would take advantage of the benefits of early bid date, potentially attract more bidders, and could capitalize on the perspective of an uncertain construction market in 2021. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. What are the chances that bidding on fall prices will increase still and it'll still be high?
I believe the risk of it being higher is very low. Whether it comes in close to what it is now, I guess I can't say. But I think the only way it could really get a lot higher or higher at all would be if oil prices somehow got out of whack here in the near future. But I guess I don't see that happening. And talking to contractors, they don't have a lot of faith right now in the year 2021 for construction. So I think we might see some savings there also. But I think one of the biggest thing is one of the biggest competitors in this area is North Valley, and they didn't submit a bid. A couple of the bigger ticket items on the low bid with the mobilization was at 78,000. Typically, you'll see that 5 or 6% of the bid, which would have been more like, I guess that'd be like 30,000. So that, and then asphalt seemed to come in about $6 a ton more than we've seen it lately. So that's a fairly big ticket item too. So I guess I can't guarantee that we're going to get lower bids, but I'd be surprised if the bids increase from this one.
Yeah, that surprises me because oil prices are pretty low right now compared to what they've been. But I do have another question about this Durant Street whole project because I drove down that street and I know it's only a partial part of the street and it doesn't go all the way to 22. Is that correct? Because I think the street is pretty bad all the way to 22.
That is correct. It just goes to 204th lane.
Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to say.
I got a question for Jack. Jack, is this gonna throw a monkey wrench into our projects for next year? Like, don't we have Davenport on the CIP for roads and that?
No, these funds would just carry over, so we would have this money available in 2021 plus the Davenport reconstruction also.
Okay, thanks.
Craig, just information purposes, I guess. It sounded like the timing on the project probably accounts for some of the cost, the expense part of the cost. And depending on the weather, I think they're within about 4 or 5 weeks of when the asphalt company starts closing down for the winter. Isn't that in November?
Correct, early November.
Early November. So if something goes haywire in there, there would be some potential. St. Paul stays open, I guess, for certain things. Otherwise, they all pretty much shut down early November.
It's another risk on the contractor that he'd probably be taken and probably reflected in his bid. I mean, a good example is the Halloween snowstorm. Nobody predicted that. So
yeah,
if you had to still pave your project and that hit, I'm sure that all accounts in their bid.
but if nothing else, if there's expectations for that this year, it's more than explained to postpone till next year. Thank you.
I'm gonna make a motion to reject the bids for the 2020 Durant Street Rehabilitation Project, and the project could be rebid in late fall 2020 with construction to commence in the spring of 2021.
I'll second that motion.
Motion is made and seconded to reject the current bids for this year and move it to 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor, Pat, can you take a roll call, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
That motion has passed to reject the bids for this current 2020 Durant Street rehabilitation project. Thanks, Craig, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Moving on to 7G, City Administrator August work meeting.
Thank you, Randy. And Craig, if you don't mind staying around for the next item also. Item 7G1, August 3rd, 2020 work meeting. Our monthly work meeting is scheduled for August the 3rd, 2020 at 7 p.m. Items recommended for council discussion and review could include, but may not be limited to the following. Edmar Lane speed limit reduction request, city commission discussion, ordinance revision for accessory structures in the rural residential district, Ice Arena operations for 2020, 2021. And I would also like to leave an item in there too for any further discussions on the preliminary 2021 budget. Staff recommends that City Council set the topics listed above for the August 3rd, 2020 work meeting agenda.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion, move to schedule the work meeting schedule as identified by the city administrator, and those items may properly come before the board.
Motion to be made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call motion. Patrick, can you take a roll?
Yes, Your Honor. Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Motion passes for the August 3rd work meeting. Item 7G2, facility relocation.
Thank you, Randy. City staff is in the process of concluding the right-of-way negotiations for the 186th Avenue Viking Boulevard Service Road project with the Viking Meadows Golf Course ownership. When discussions originated for this project in 2016, it was anticipated and conveyed to Viking Meadows that the portion of the service road to their property would include water and sewer service along the entire length of the proposed road alignment. Based on the funding status at that time, they were also informed that this would be a two-phase project, and the segment on their property was projected for the 2022-2024 timeframe. As this project progressed, it became apparent that the extension of trunk, water, and sewer service beyond the boundaries of the Elevage project was not feasible in terms of cost or as a means to serve those areas on the east side of Highway 65 between Viking Boulevard and 209th Avenue. At the November 4th, 2019 City Council work meeting, staff presented an evaluation of the project cost and future utility needs north of the Elevage project area. Staff recommended that council consider serving only the Elevage project and a short extension to the property north of 191st Avenue with trunk, water, and sewer service. City Council concurred with this recommendation. This information was conveyed to the Board of Directors of the Viking Meadows Golf Course. Viking Meadows management did not reject the decision at this time. Since that notification, ensuing negotiations to obtain the formal identification of the right-of-way for the service road, two issues have emerged as concern for Viking Meadows. Number one is the timing of the relocation of the green for hole number 5. As part of discussions in our meeting with MnDOT on March 12, 2020, it was reconfirmed the relocation of a golf green was part of the eligible project cost for the service road. Viking Meadows has informed us that the timing of the relocation of this green is critical to the operation of the course. The golf course needs to start the relocation work in August 2020 in order to have it ready for next summer's play. It is anticipated that grant monies will not be available until late September or early October. We've received a MnDOT agreement number and a state project number. for this work. We anticipate submitting project plans by the first week in August, and once these are approved, project funds could be released. We have requested but haven't received an official determination from MnDOT as to the eligibility of costs for reimbursement incurred prior to the official release of funds. Submission of quotes for the green relocation were extended to today and were sent to City Council at around 2 p.m. for your review. Upfront monies to cover this cost are available in the Street Capital Fund. All efforts are being made to have this proposed expenditure classified as an eligible reimbursable expense. MnDOT informed me today that it would be at least 2 weeks before they could get approval for a cost participation agreement that would exempt us from the requirement of securing the release of funds prior to incurring costs. If we proceeded without the cost participation agreement, this decision would forfeit our eligibility for reimbursement of the relocation cost of $47,900. In this case, we would have to use local monies to keep the project on schedule unless Viking Meadows approves a later start date for the green location. I contacted Viking Meadows this morning regarding the extension on the deadline originally proposed, but haven't received a response as of this evening. To postpone their desired start date could jeopardize the project schedule, and absorbing the cost with local funds should be considered as an option. Item number 2, utility service extensions. As stated above, the extension of trunk, water, and sewer service is not economically feasible along the entire length of the service road that crosses the Viking Meadows property. This was determined by an evaluation of the 2009 facilities plan that outlined a proposal for the service within the Highway 65 corridor from 181st Avenue to 245th Avenue. Although trunk, water, and sewer lines would be installed in the portion of the service road crossing the Viking Meadows property, it will be provided by service stubs to the southwest corner of the property and by future extension to the old Par 3 course. Viking Meadows management now considers some immediate extension is necessary to allow them to market a site on the northeast corner of the property. A discussion with golf course management Al Hamill and Rick Imdyke on June 1st, 2020 resulted in their request for a 400 to 450 extension of an 8-inch sewer and minimum 6-inch water to meet their needs. We could bid the request for this extension as an alternate to the base bid for the project. These lines would extend from near the terminus of the trunk water and sewer service, as exhibited on attachment 5 in your packet, on the portion of the service road paralleling Highway 65. The cost of this line may have to proceed on a deferred assessment basis or as a portion of the project cost. The estimated cost of this addition to the project is $80,000 to $85,000. In either case, we would have to upfront the money for the extension. As a recommendation, staff proposes that should Viking Meadows Golf Course deadline to commence construction of the green relocation for hole number 5 occur prior to MnDOT's approval of the cost participation agreement, staff would request that City Council consider authorization to Viking Meadows Golf Course to proceed with the green location for hole number 5 at a cost of $47,900 for the project, with the project to be paid for local funds. I would like to further add to this recommendation that I would still like to discuss this with Viking Meadows. Hopefully they'll get back to me tomorrow about an extension on this deadline. But this is something we consider and actually take no action on this recommendation unless we have to. And if we do, we can do that. We can call a special meeting and have it prior to next Monday's work meeting. But it is something we're going to really need to consider. I think much later than that is going to jeopardize their ability to complete this and have it playable by midsummer 2021. And also throw our project schedule totally out of line with the commitments that we have in place. Recommendation number 2 is one that I'd like to get the motion on, and that is staff is requesting that City Council, as part of the service road project bid, include an 8-inch sewer, minimum 6-inch water service extension with appurtenances as exhibited in attachment 5 to be paid by a deferred assessment on the property or other acceptable terms not to exceed $85,000. So on the first recommendation, I would propose that we sit on this. Let me get some more information and we can consider this next Monday if need be. And I would request that the recommendation number 2 be approved.
Move for approval of recommendation number 2 as specified in the agenda and discussed by the city administrator in detail.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I want to say something. I think it's this project seems like it keeps exceeding the original proposals, and I don't think a timeline should be what we are trying to adhere to. I think we need to stay in the budget, and I think these property assessments of over $80,000 to $85,000 is outlandish. So I'm just not for this at all. That's all I have to say.
If I could respond to a couple of your points, Suzanne, and I appreciate your concerns. They're our concerns also. There is a time limit on utilizing these MnDOT grant funds. Unfortunately, MnDOT is always a little slow to work with. So we're trying to expedite this project schedule in any manner that we can. This was always part of the project from the beginning. It was required and necessary. It's been discussed with the golf course for well over a year, and the discussions with MnDOT were originally started on this last November. So it is really part of the project plan, and it's something that is going to have to be done if this road is constructed, and to meet the completion date that is scheduled for June 30th, 2021 as far as the first phase, and November 2021 for the second phase.
And in addition, from the discussion, it seems reasonable to expect that there'll be consideration for this $85,000 in the near future. And the whole subject pertains to a project that's imminent urgency as far as some action with it.
Yeah.
Is that close, Jack?
Yeah, that is, this is, everything in here is critically time sensitive. And to get back to the assessment part of that, Suzanne, if there's other acceptable means to satisfy this cost, we would certainly look at those. And assessment is one option. There may be other options we can consider too. So that's why we're phrasing the motion as it was presented. So it's not exclusively deferred assessment.
So, and then as far as the overall project goes, I watch the Senate meetings on TV, and I know our governors and legislature have been on kind of a spending spree, and our surplus is gone. We, as a state, we're in debt of what our surplus was almost, and I'm thinking, what if they give no money? What is that going to do to our budget with this project?
Well, in my discussions with MnDOT today, I asked for a reaffirmation of that, and they said if in any event it was turned down at the Central District Office, they knew that we would appeal to the State Transportation Commissioner, and the State Transportation Commissioner would probably overturn any type of negative decision on refusal to fund this project. So this money is as good as we can hope for to be guaranteed at this point.
I just have one comment. There's been comments made that we don't want to work with businesses. Well, here's an opportunity to work with a business. They supported the city a lot, and I think this is a good thing for us and a good thing for them.
Well, yeah, I agree, Tim. There's definite economic benefit spinoffs on this. as we discussed before, this could result in a $50 million overall investment by private enterprise. Would create, depending on the type, maybe up to another 300 additional SAC and WAC fee connections that would result in about $2 million to the city. Increase the tax base, increase the number of housing units, which would further our goal toward getting a grocery store in this area. It's just a real economic development benefit, and it's also a transportation improvement too, to get some more traffic off Highway 65. And eventually there's only 2 short segments once this is completed that you could drive from Viking Boulevard across town and not even get on Highway 65.
Jack, another consideration, I forget exactly what this is called, but it's our budget. We're in like close to the 50% range instead of the recommended 35%. What am I trying to say?
You're talking about the required fund balance that we're required to carry.
That's it, exactly. With the current situation, it isn't some kind of a careless gamble. We're not going to, we expect to be reimbursed. We expect for this to be a positive, and reasonably expect to be a positive issue for the city, and will not put the city in any jeopardy as far as economics.
That's true. There would be no effect on the levy with this project, and we're also be in line to get $3.2 million from MnDOT. If we pass this up, this opportunity would probably not present itself again.
So I just want a clarification here. The motion is only for recommendation 2. Is that not correct?
That's correct, Randy. I would suggest that we wait until further on this week and let me get some more information on recommendation 1. And if we have to take action, we can call a special meeting prior to the work meeting next week.
Well, let's take care of recommendation 2 with the motion that's on the floor. I do think that we should probably table recommendation 1 as soon as we've completed with this. So my thought is, I realize, Suzanne, that it seems like, we are adding to this project, but this was a request from the owner of the property to add this extra service to this particular property, that the $85,000 is going as an assessment on the property. So we're kind of putting the money up front, which I'm not thrilled about, but this is money that the city would get back either when the property sells or when they develop it. So, or other arrangements can be made. So that's all I have to say on that. Any other comments? Hearing none, moving on to roll call vote on this motion to approve recommendation 2. Patrick?
Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Nay.
That motion passes. I would like to go back to recommendation 1, and I am going to make a motion to table this item until we can hear back from staff as whether or not Viking Meadows is okay with postponing that project until we can get approval for the money on this project. Thanks.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none to the motion. Pat, can you take a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
That motion passes. That is tabled until we hear back from you, Jack.
Thank you, Randy.
Item 7G3, City Hall Automated Telephone System. Jack?
At the July 6, 2020 work meeting, the council was briefed on two problems that surfaced as a result of the assignment of remote work sites for city employees. These were the lack of electronic access to all city files and the complications involved with their existing phone call transfer system and answering protocols. Both of these issues decreased the efficiency of those working from home and increased the need for in-office staff time to address these matters. In addition to adapting their office procedures to comply with reducing risk to COVID-19 exposure, issues and concerns of residents continue to expand and faceless contact has become more prevalent. As a result, the number of telephone calls the city receives has increased, and handling the call volume has become a challenge within the structure of our existing system. This situation becomes burdensome for department managers when someone in a phone response position is out of the office and other staff members must fulfill these duties. When the COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing demands for new approaches to conduct city businesses, the number of staff working remotely has reduced the availability of in-person presence in City Hall regarding mainline answering calls. Consider the following points. With the number of staff working from home, the problem of having adequate phone answering coverage has been a juggling exercise between those who have been assigned to remain in the office. Staff members that respond to mainline calls have essentially become answering machines. Generally, they are unable to solve the caller's issues. In many cases, callers wind up speaking to 3 different staff members before their issue is resolved. For example, a call comes to the receptionist regarding a land use or zoning matter. That call is transferred to the community development main line, which is then transferred to whichever community development staff member is appropriate and or available. This is an inefficient use of the caller's time and staff time. This problem will be further complicated with the responsibilities of the 2020 primary and general election duties. 2 of the staff who are also in the 3-person chain of receiving incoming phone calls are the election supervisor and her assistant. These duties will interrupt their availability between August and November 3rd, 2020 for assisting with call answering functions. Leave time for vacation or sickness comprises our phone answering capability to the point that other staff need to serve as backups to ensure calls are promptly answered and dispatched. Compliance with the COVID-19 guidelines and the pandemic itself may be a problem that persists for an unknown period of time. Procedures and technologies that can be implemented to improve our operation will result in less service delivery inconvenience to our residents and assist the uninterrupted continuance of the operation of City Hall functions. City phone needs have advanced to the level that may require an automated phone answering system as a means to more efficiently direct incoming calls to the proper party. With the dispersion of up to 50% of our city workforce in a work-at-home status, the resulting extra demands will be placed on the remaining in-office staff and additional staff time required for the 2020 elections. The automated menu system would solve the majority of our problems, our phone answering and dispatching. This addition would be incorporated into our existing Metro INET phone system. There is no additional cost to add this option to our current agreement with Metro INET. Implementation of that system could require up to 30 days. Staff requests City Council authorization to add automated answering to our existing telephone system agreement with Metro INET.
Move to authorize add the automated answering to our existing telephone system agreement with Met-INET.
Second.
It's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I just want to confirm there is absolutely no extra cost for this. In any way, raise prices, raise anything like that.
That's correct. It's already built into our system.
Well, that's
services that we already have.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And from what you said, if we're not tremendously overstaffed, if you had 2 people call in sick someday, we're compromised as far as.
We are, and it was highly indicative when we only had 3 people here in the office. And we had myself, the building official, and the receptionist. And when she had to be out a couple of days, which was then that duty fell to us, which we didn't mind doing, but it kind of compromises and reduces the ability of what you can do if you're continually trying to answer the phone. So this would take a call and direct it straight to the person that people want to speak to. We'll ensure that people return their calls promptly when they leave voicemails, and I think it'll certainly increase the efficiency and their ability to handle these types of activities, limited number of staff that are available to answer calls and address anything that comes up as long as this COVID-19 persists.
Any other comments? Jack, I mean, this sounds like a win-win, but I would still like to make sure that we keep a close eye on this, because one of the concerns that I would have is making it more difficult for residents to address their issues. And so as we go forward, I'd like to keep monitoring this system and make sure that it's working the way that we intended to do.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And, the last thing we want to do is make it more complicated. And, everybody likes to hear a live person answer a phone, but our call volume is increased to the point where that's being more difficult to do, especially with the limited number of people we have doing that. And like I say, we got the elections coming up, which is going to limit some of our abilities there. It just takes one person out of the chain here to make 2 or 3 others have to jump in and fill in the gaps and support those that aren't there in the phone answering.
I have one additional question. Did you say which one of the options you're going for, A, B, or C?
No, we did not. We're going to talk with Metro INET and see, give them our exact situation and circumstances. These aren't all the options that they have. This was some charts that Carrie Frost prepared, and I think she did an excellent job on that in showing what could be done. A very simple one to one that has more options, and we will explore those opportunities with Metro INET, and they will design a system that will suit our needs.
Thanks.
All right, very good. We will move to the vote. Can you take a roll call? Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
You froze, but aye.
Very good. That motion passes.
really
Jack,
did
you'll
hear the
update
motion
us
now.
when that goes live.
Yes, we'll keep everybody briefed on that.
All right, very good. Good, thanks. All right, moving on to 8.A, staff report.
I'd like to report that the paving of 245th Avenue, that's the common boundary road we share with Athens, and approved participation in that plan back last February and March. Will begin on Wednesday. It's a good looking project. We've had no complaints from the residents once this has started. And if you haven't been back there, I would encourage anybody to take a look at that. It's a very attractive project. The second thing I have is I am requesting council allow us to hire a temp for the month of August. We have one employee who is going to be on a 30-day leave of absence. The temp we're proposing to hire has worked here before as an intern. And the rate of pay would be $12 an hour. They would assist the building department in answering phones and basically issuing minor permits. And I would request authorization to hire that temp for 30 days for the month of August and put her to work on Wednesday, July the 25th.
Jack, do you need a motion?
Please.
Very good. I will go ahead and make a motion to hire a temporary worker to fill in. Thanks.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. Jack, can you take a roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning,
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
That motion passes. Jack?
That's all I have unless there's some council reports.
Very good. We'll move on to council reports. Suzanne?
Okay, I have two things I want to bring up. My first is a question, and that's back to something I brought up last month about the parking on those proposed streets down by Coon Lake. There are people are actually pulling cars in there and parking in those spots. So residents have asked what happened to the no parking signs, and they also have asked me when are the invasive species signs going to come back.
The no parking signs you're referring to, Suzanne, what street are those on?
I want to say First Street, but it might be the one before you get to First Street. It's one of those.
Okay, one of those fire lane accesses?
Yeah, people are parking cars. There's like 2 or 3 cars in there sometimes.
Okay, those are being addressed now. We got down there and looked, and there were no storage. Nothing was stored in there by the adjoining property owner. The boat lift may be encroaching a little bit on the front. We've sent a notice to that owner to address that situation, and no parking signs will be back up there within 10 days to 2 weeks. So we're taking care of that as we're knocking things off here. Okay,
thank you. And then my last request is for all these meetings, I can't have the packet online and have the meeting up here, especially if they're sharing stuff. It's hard for me to shuffle. And I'm wondering, and so I've been printing out 80 to 150 pages of packet, and I'm wondering, and that's kind of taken a toll on my little cheap printer, and it takes a long time. So I'm wondering if I can find a way for the city to print those out for me and I pick them up or something, or they mailed to me, or I don't know.
We can do that. Generally what we do is have the CSO deliver those. So they can deliver them, or you can come to City Hall and pick them up. Since the packet usually doesn't go out till Friday, that would probably be your 2 best options. If we mail it, you may not get it till Monday.
I think I'd rather pick it up just because of my dog, because our dog is outside a lot, and unless they're going to put it in my mailbox, because I don't want them leaving it, especially if it's raining or something.
Okay, we'll notify you when it's ready then on Fridays, and you can pick it up then.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Harrington.
I got a couple things here. First of all, Sunrise Watershed awarded the contract to Blackstone for the rain garden over on Channel Lane, and that should be completed by this year. I'd just like to remind everybody the golf tournament 9/11 at Hidden Haven this year. So if you get an opportunity to sign up, it'll be a fun time. Tomorrow night, the Planning Commission meeting. And I got a question, Jack, when you were talking 245th, I've been up there. They just have the one house, or have they done any other houses up there?
I haven't been back up in there since you and I took the tour probably 6 weeks ago. I think it's still only the one house. I don't know of any other building permits that have been pulled to at this date.
Okay, I just want to comment too that it is a very nice development up there. He did, Mr. Strandland did a very nice job.
Very good. Mr. Ronnick?
Oh, I don't know if anybody's noticing, but we're lost about 45 minutes of daylight already. That isn't that important to the city, but it's gonna miss it before too long. I don't really have anything. Thank you.
Very good. I do have a couple things on my list. Just to remind everyone, the candidacy filing is starting tomorrow, July 28th to August 10th, from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. August 10th, the last day, is until 5 p.m. Primary is August 11th, and November 3rd is the general election. And that's all I have. Is there any other reports? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
That's your
So
job.
moved.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Pat, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Plaisance,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning,
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Very good. That concludes tonight's city council meeting, and thank everyone for showing up tonight, and enjoy your evening. Thanks.
Before you sign off, everybody, we have an HRA meeting coming up. Mr. Harrington.
I'm ready.
Turn it over to you. All right, it's all yours.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to call the July 27th HRA meeting to order. Is there a motion on the floor to adopt tonight's agenda?
Move for the adoption of tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
First and a second. Pat, can you take a vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Plaisance,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning,
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
He may have left.
Okay.
Item number 3, the approval of April 13th, 2020 minutes. Is there any added additions, subtractions? Anybody want to make a motion if there's nothing?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the April 13th, 2020 Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Pat, you want to roll call it again?
Sure. Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Plaisance,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Item number 4 is staff and council reports. That must be you, Jack.
I have nothing to add, Tim.
Nothing to add. Okay, and then item number 5, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Pat, one more time.
Okay. Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Plaisance,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Next time, don't waste so much time, Tim. Aye.
Adjourn. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, thanks, you too.